Hi, everybody. Welcome, Kevin.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Terry. It's always fun. How are
Yeah,
you doing?
I'm great. Thanks. It's so nice to see you.
Yes.
So, I'm Terry, holding your space. And of course, this is Kevin, Kevin's Loving Vibrations.
Yes. Me and
Um,
Terry are we're birthday twins. We
we
share the same
are,
birthday.
and we're dog twins too, aren't we? Don't we have the same dog? Don't you have an Aussie?
I have an Aussie, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yep.
remember these things, the dogs and the cats. Um,
Well, it's so
yeah.
good to be here.
Well, thanks. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm feeling kinda cold with my background right now, but, we've got lots of snow, and I know everybody's had lots of weather.
Yeah. I
So,
said it feels like deja vu. We haven't gotten a lot of snow yet here in Ohio, but I know it's coming. We have another storm coming through. So but it's
yeah.
it's very pretty. At least we're not experiencing the cold from the photo, although you were just saying it was really cold by you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, today it got up to 37, so it
Mhm.
melted a little bit. We had 5 inches of snow, and, and then we're supposed to get more snow this weekend and,
Is it
negative.
typical for you to get snow in Missouri, or is it because I know some places like in the South, like if it snows and you get like an inch of snow, like the whole everything shuts down.
Yeah, I always say we get the worst of everything. It's like the
Okay.
Frontiers went through Kansas City, and they were like, "What were they thinking?"
Right.
It gets stinky hot and super cold, and yeah, but we
Wow.
get beautiful falls and springs, so
Yeah. I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah, it's not horrible. So, hi, everybody. Welcome, Connie B, Lisa, Sweetie Darling Lulu. I love that name, Amanda. Um, it's so nice to see everybody here. Um, do you wanna talk about, like, the energy that we're seeing coming in and,
Yeah, for 2024.
yeah, and kind of I wanted to do, if you want to, what do you think about talking about the spiritual energy that's coming in first from our guides,
Yeah.
like what they're saying?
Well, I think 2024 is going to be. I mean, there is upheavals with it. I won't sugarcoat it for anybody. So it does feel like it's a bit challenging in some aspects, but it's also really exciting too. I think it's going to be a really powerful year for us to manifest and work hard and accomplish our goals. Um, I was getting a very strong message that it's very important of being mindful of where we're sitting in energetically. Um, are we sitting in that loving, uplifted energy, or are we allowing all of the crazy external stimulus to kind of bring us down energetically? Because with as powerful as this manifesting is going to be, if we're in the fear, we're just going to continue to kind of amplify that energy, or like those lower denser vibrations. But if we're sitting in that positive uplifted space, it's like a lot of wonderful blessings coming in. And with those challenges too, it's going to be a really good opportunity for us to speak truth to power and to really ignite that like solar plexus, self-confidence, um, really get going in strong with that for 2024. I I was I'll just show you can't see it the best, but I have the justice card behind us, and I think that that's going to be the
Yeah.
card for 2024 because 2023 there was accountability. It's still going to have that kind of energy for things that have been kind of laying low or not out in the public eye. And so this light is being shown on them to bring in that overall awareness so we can grow and learn and move on past things that are no longer serving us as a collective. But yeah, it's people are fighting for equality and fairness. I think we're going to see a lot of legal cases, and then 2024, I do a
You
lot of
think?
politics. So, um, but it's also about finding that right balance, with the scales of justice and just holding on to that sword of truth and communicating that truth. It's going to be a really powerful year.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love the way you put that and, sitting in your power.
Yeah. It's going
So,
to be so important.
yeah, yeah. I really feel like, I love that you said all this about how exciting it's gonna be because I do feel like it's gonna be a golden age too coming in.
Yeah. It's
Like
like we're
we're
starting to see the beginning of this bright new future coming in. It's like we're starting to see some hope. And sometimes things have to be disrupted and there has to be the change, kind of like the shaky tower, um, letting go of the things that aren't serving us. And it might be a little unsettling or unraveling, but it's also, like with this new start, we can start to see light on the horizon.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, uh, and, and when that happens, like, I feel like sometimes you look at it and it's can be quite frightening, and it's really easy to go to that fear.
Mm.
So I know you do Reiki, and do you have any suggestions about?
I think it's going to be really important, and not so much for the Reiki, although I think Reiki is really good at kind of bringing in that balance and alignment and that peace of mind to help get through some of the crazy times. But it's going to be so important for us to be grounded, especially for a lot of us empaths that are in our community of the light workers that we have following us. You know, make sure that you're not just sitting and watching the news all day, or you know, not to say that you can't watch the news, but if you start to get into that fear, or starting to get overwhelmed, or even starting to get a bit angry, which it's very easy to do with kind of what's going on, just kind of taking a step back and just breathing and coming to the present, using that fear or whatever's triggering you to really motivate you to speak truth to power, you know, and to really kind of get yourself out there, and to get other people out there, and help, you know, awaken people. But yeah, the Reiki for myself, I love using it as like a daily like self healing, or you know, self work.
Yeah.
Help me stay uplifted through all of the hard things that I have to read on.
Well, you know, and when I look at you in your room and everything, and your demeanor is always very calming, but your room, everything, the energy all around it
Oh, I love that.
feels so calm.
You
Yeah.
can kind of see my Reiki studio in through the furniture.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have a table in there?
You can see the legs of it. I don't use it too often because most of my work's remote, so I don't typically use it unless I have like friends or family over that want a little bit of a tune up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful. It's my
Yeah.
little sacred space.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I really feel like it's going to change the way we tell our stories this year.
Mm, yeah.
Like living in your truth, and your authentic truth, because like you said, it's so easy to get your energy carried away by the news,
Mm,
or anything. I mean, there's so many toxins out there, right? It's not just the
yeah. And
news.
everything's so divisive right now too. Everything's
Yeah,
so polarized.
yeah, it really is. Everywhere you look, it can be like that. But you can change your story and look at
Mhm.
there's all sorts of new things coming out with science and medicine.
Oh yeah, it's going to
It's
be huge
massive.
this year.
Yeah, yeah, it's massive, and we really don't hear about that much on the news.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Lisa Foster says you're very calming too, and I agree.
Oh, thank
It
you,
must be a July
Lisa.
29th Leo thing.
Which isn't a normal Leo thing, isn't it? It's so
No.
funny. Yeah, I know. I love that. I love that. It's hilarious. Rossi just finished Reiki too. Wow.
Oh, nice.
Nice, Rossi. Yeah. Um, so I think that I'm getting that a lot of people, well, a lot of people here have already been studying and already been on the path, but I feel like that's going to open up to more people,
Hmm.
don't you?
Oh,
In the future.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Really been a bit of a cycle of an awakening. I mean, I think, you know, if you get into the politics, things have been a bit hard and divisive for like the last decade. But then, really, with the pandemic, it, you know, it kind of shut the world down. Everybody kind of had to stop and think and reevaluate um, you know, what's serving me, you know, and then make a lot of changes, you know. I can't tell you how many people I read right now. They're making all these major transformative changes, you know, starting their own business that they've, you know, they haven't really felt fulfilled with their job, even when they went to school, and they're like, out of a whim, I'm just going to take that leap of faith and do something that I'm really passionate about, and something that I've wanted to do for a while, or moving across the country. I get a lot of that. New relationships coming in, or ending relationships. It's like really right now is a wonderful time to just kind of let go and let spirit kind of lead us, um, and kind of shift us onto where we're really meant to be. A lot of adjusting right now.
Yeah. And just thinking about that sometimes can be a little overwhelming.
Mm.
But when you feel it, like you were saying, in your gut,
You just
in your
trust.
solar plexus, yeah, in your heart,
Hmm.
it makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And I'll even just say real quickly for myself, I mean, part of that transition is why I'm here on YouTube today, you know? Um, for me, I was unemployed for a year and a half when the pandemic hit. And a lot of my past trauma really started to come up and bubble up to the surface. I couldn't hide from it anymore. Because I would work all the time, or I had some unhealthy habits like drinking to numb some of the pain,
yeah,
and then when I couldn't hide from it anymore, distract myself from it anymore, I really had to deal with it. So for me, starting Reiki and doing some of that inner healing really helped me kind of get out of my own way, and just I'd felt called to start my own YouTube channel, um, to do some of the psychic intuitive work. And once I let go of that fear and I just took that leap of faith, all of these wonderful miracles started happening where I couldn't even imagine that I'd be where I'm at right now. So it's so important sometimes just letting go. And I think that really is just coming into the present moment and thinking of it as today's a new adventure. What do I want to create today? Sometimes if it doesn't work out tomorrow, we can try something new. And but people get so, I think, scared of the change, and it can be scary, but I think when we can just let go and embrace it sometimes, that's when all these wonderful blessings come in.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I love that you said something about moving cross country. I keep thinking about it,
Oh,
and
really?
I keep looking at Zillow. I'm like totally
Mhm.
on Zillow. I mean, I just love it. So, yeah, and I keep watching it, but I haven't done anything yet. But it is really easy to look at that and think, oh, it can be overwhelming if you're thinking that it has to be perfect. But like you
Mhm.
said, it just has to be. Uh, I always call it Mister Right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes too, just being patient when you trust, and maybe things don't happen on the exact course or timeline that you're wanting it. And we can be impatient. Uh, we want things now, but I think sometimes just letting go of that control, you'll be amazed by just how things kind of just pop in easily for you when you can really just let go and just trust that good things are coming in.
Yeah, being in the present.
Hmm.
So, was there somebody that helped you with that, a teacher, or was that something that you found when you went through your studying about inner child or trauma? Or
I haven't really, besides the Reiki, I haven't really taken any classes. A lot of it's kind of self-taught and self-development. Um, I mean, obviously, you know, like I love, like I could watch Dolores Cannon lectures on YouTube for like days in a row, like if I had a sick day. So there's some mentors that I like to hear their messages from, but um, a lot of it's really kind of just figuring things out for myself and my own healing process, I think.
I think a lot of us are starting to remember.
Mm,
Like, I love that you said that there wasn't this guru, because I feel like we are all our own gurus, or we can be.
mm,
Even though there's not, I mean, there are so many great teachers out there, but um, all of a sudden we'll take a class and you remember what it's about, or you start reading about, the Raw Collective, or
mhm.
the Law of One, or whatever, and you kind of got it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing too, is that there's so many different topics or different tools to really kind of dive into in this work, and finding the things that really resonate with you and your energy. Um, you know, it's all our own personal lessons. So it's just kind of connecting to those things that really stand out for us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and what's fun, right? What brings you
Hmm.
joy and wonder? So
Yeah.
I think that this year for me, and last year too, is about kind of flying my freak flag,
Yeah.
and figuring out what gives me a giggle, or what kind of makes me dance, or
Mm,
what's amazing. And that's why I started looking again. I think a lot of us started looking at what we're doing. Definitely during the pandemic, it was time
yeah.
to change all that. But then now also going forward, like, if I could do anything in the world tomorrow, which of course we all can do anything in the world tomorrow that we want to in some respects,
Right.
what would I be doing? And I think I'd definitely still be here
Mm,
on YouTube. I mean, I just think it's so much fun.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
that's really what it is too. Like when you start feeling a bit overwhelmed, or if the world, seems like it's hell in a handbasket, and you kind of don't want to get out of bed, focusing on those things that really uplift you and bring you joy. And it could be something just as simple as, kind of belting out a song or just doing a funny dance, getting some movement in. For me in the summertime, I love to go out into my patio and kind of connect in the garden, and all of I get the most wonderful birds, messengers that come to me. And for me, that's just kind of like just breathing that fresh air. It's so healing for me and recharging. So focusing on the things that bring you joy and that uplift you rather than the things that kind of want to paralyze you. I think that
yeah,
that's going to be really important in 2024.
yeah. I love watching the birds. They're
Hmm.
definitely messengers. Yeah, from
My
heaven.
grandma's in spirit. She sends me the most wonderful birds. I get like every kind you could imagine.
My grandmother comes by as red cardinal instead of
And I get
my dad and
cardinal.
my mom. Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. So, do you have any birds that visit you on a regular basis, like a big bird or a
Hmm.
special, like a hawk or anything?
Yeah.
Or
For myself, I get well, my grandma sends me cardinals often. So those are always special. I always think of her when they come through.
our
Um,
grandma's supposed to be hanging out up there.
yeah. But I have a beautiful blue heron that visits my backyard. I just posted on YouTube. I had a tree that wasn't in my backyard, but um, it overlooks my backyard, and I have like a little water area that I can overlook. And a blue heron always comes by and fishes out of there. I do get hawks and eagles too, a lot of songbirds, but something really special about the heron.
Wow, that's amazing. I
Hmm.
love that. Yeah, we get a lot of hawks over here,
Mm.
and I have an owl in the neighborhood that sings to us. So,
Oh, very
yeah,
cool. I
yeah.
think the heron comes in because it wants to teach me patience, which is something that I'm actively working on.
Um, uh, Paul Rudy, he's a composer, but he also does sound music. But he
Yeah,
talks about the kingfisher and how the kingfisher sits in the tree forever and watches, and people think that they're not doing anything, but really they're just watching for the perfect moment to swoop in and get the fish.
yeah,
And I feel like there's so many messages like that.
yeah. Even with the heron, like it will kind of just freeze in the water, just observe, and sometimes you'll just see it's just standing there, not moving for 10, 15 minutes, and then it catches the fish. Very
Yeah.
patient, very wise too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big message for me, being
Mm.
patient this year and being in the moment and not worrying about what's ahead or what's
Mm.
behind.
Yeah,
But because that can get really fear-based really fast.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so I also feel like telling our stories, like what our stories are. Did I
Mm.
already say that? Talking about our stories, but it just keeps coming to me and it's like when you're talking to somebody and you feel like they're telling you something that and while they're saying it, it's like because you were doing something wrong, right? They're giving us advice.
Hmm.
And instead of taking that like, oh, they're a fountain of information, how exciting, and being curious about it, getting kind of turned off and thinking, oh, my story is that they don't think I'm smart enough to figure this out.
Mm.
And there's so many different stories there.
Yeah.
Anyway, changing the story in relationships. So that's been a big one for me too.
I feel like for me, I feel like 2024 is going to be a great year for teaching and sharing wisdom. I hopefully start doing some Reiki classes, but even some speaking gigs in the work. So sharing the wisdom that way too. And I think for me, where I've been very comfortable, um, kind of at home since the pandemic and working from home, 2024 is going to kind of push me out of the comfort zone to kind of go back into that sense of community and getting out there and connecting with people, maybe some that I don't necessarily agree with, but um, because times are so hard, it's like we need those teachers out among us to help kind of elevate everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Are you thinking about doing some retreats or?
Well, Mel Dore asked me on one. It's nothing like confirmed yet, but I don't think I would do it for myself, at least not yet.
Yeah.
But maybe in the future. But also too, a lot of energy about maybe even starting my own studio outside of the house. I don't know if that's going to be quite 2024, but um, in the future, I think probably next year or 2026.
So where do you see this going? Because I feel like YouTube is like just the beginning for all of this,
Mm,
that everything's growing. And nothing against YouTube because it's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
it's for so many of us, it's like our stomping grounds and where we can shine and where we can learn and figure
I
things
almost feel
out.
like with like the growth of technology, it's almost going to be like technology, like it will be kind of like we're all in person through like the web kind of. And I don't know if it's like holograms or like virtual reality, but I don't think we're too far off from that, maybe 5, 10 years, but it's going to be amazing the way that kind of technology grows in the
Yeah.
next, well, I think even this year, I think especially with, I mean, we have like the AI stuff and some people are a little scared by that, but I mean, there's got to be some rules and regulations. But it's going to be very helpful and it's not going away. But I think even in regards to like healthcare technology and advancements with that, like it feels very exciting for 2024. I think even cures for certain cancers and dementia, Alzheimer's, a lot of progression with that. I was even showing like some kind of sound frequency healing kind of coming through and helping with healing for the body as well.
I feel like that too, that the frequency is huge
Mhm.
and light also.
Yeah.
I know that they have some light helmets already that they're working on for Alzheimer's. But that and sound together, wow,
Hmm.
that would be amazing. I feel like there's a lot coming in. I have a brother with early onset dementia,
Yeah.
and he's like just mid-50s. But it's pretty impressive all this work that they're doing on it right
Yeah.
now.
It's like
Yeah,
we're kind of on the cutting edge of a lot of new exciting technology. Somebody asked if we're doing many personal readings. It's not going to be the focus today, but if we have time after our discussion, we will get to get to a few questions at least. Hopefully, we'll see.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm having fun with kind of what we're talking about now too. So whatever is kind of meant to be said will come through today.
So, what do you feel like? I feel like there's going to be movement in the tectonic plates this year too,
Mm,
and different things on the
yeah,
planet.
I had a vision about. They showed me. Well, we have a very powerful solar eclipse coming. I think in March, but they showed me a solar eclipse, and it was you could kind of see all of like it looked like volcanoes kind of going off at that like that fire ring of the eclipse. So for me, I kind of took that as a lot more solar activity, solar flares, which have been really intense lately.
Yeah,
And I see that continuing. But it's also part of like this upgrade that we're getting that's kind of helping with ascension too. But then the solar eclipse kind of transformed in the middle where the moon's at, and it showed me like the Pacific and all of the continents around the Pacific, and I was thinking Ring of Fire with that. So the solar activity, but then I think specifically that Ring of Fire in the Pacific being very active with earthquakes. Um, I see a lot of volcanoes too, maybe even some water displacement. But what I pick up most strongly with 2024, I think a lot of flooding, a lot of water is what I'm seeing.
yeah. That's what my guides have been saying. They've been saying water, water, water. I
It's going to
mean,
be a tough year with
yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah,
we're going to still have all of like the extreme heat and some fires too, but it's going to be really significant around water.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I also have been hearing that just we talk about having our to-go bags,
Mm,
but the biggest part of our to-go bags now is going to be not just water, that to have a filtration system that's really good because that's huge water for
yeah.
us too this year, but also having our spiritual, our energetic to go bag, that
Mm,
we're just always in the now. And like
yeah.
you said, being present.
Well, and I
So,
think too, even with that water, although you know the energy is going to be a bit chaotic for a while, in returns to climate change and um, weather and earth activity, but it's also like too, like if you think of like all the fires as kind of like smudging and clearing, um, the earth, and then the water feels like it's kind of like that emotional cleansing, and then even like some of that protection too, if you think of like the salt water kind of coming in and cleansing and charging. So a bit of like an emotional healing too. It's just it's gonna be so important, I think, not to dive into the fear, but how things are shifting. We just have to be able to adapt and be prepared. It's gonna be
yeah,
so important. So like you said, getting your essentials and a bag together, I think is gonna be really important.
yeah, yeah. And being able to take care of ourselves and center ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge too. And, breath work or
Mm,
meditation or finding joy,
yeah.
living your life in that bliss. And it can't be all bliss. I know that. That
It's
would
all
be
about kind of
repressing.
balance though too. Just not going to one extreme rather than the other. I mean, it's the same thing too with I feel like a lot of us light workers are very giving people, and sometimes we have to balance out the giving with receiving so that we can be at our best, or even maybe speaking up and having those boundaries so people um, you know don't suck all the energy out of you, the energy vampires out there. So yeah, it's all about just finding like the right balance in life, right? The give
Yeah.
and take.
Yeah. And I love that you said boundaries because I see that a lot.
Hmm.
Um, whether you're, somebody wants something from you or somebody wants to give you a lot of information all the
Yeah.
time um, about what you can do, how you can make yourself a little better.
Hmm.
But um, I love that the technology is caught up with, I think, the kids now
Mm,
because I feel like this new generations that have come in, the new generations are like so gifted and they're not interested necessarily in the same old.
yeah.
Like they don't want to go to work for somebody for 60 hours a week and have that person make, 582 million while you're laying off your employees. I
Yeah.
mean, they're really seeing things differently.
Very innovative, and adaptive, and I think that that's going to be kind of so crucial, like I just said. Um, yeah, I love that, and kind of like they don't, the new generation coming in, you know, they don't feel like that guilt of like doing stuff that they don't want to do, um,
Yeah.
so I kind of respect that, and that's something that I've kind of had to learn too, especially with doing this kind of work over the years. I was used to working in the restaurant industry, which is kind of go go go. You work when you're sick, working 6 7 days a week, and not being really given that option of taking time off if you need it. Now I've doing this kind of work. It's like if I sometimes get like really bad neck pain, and I have some arthritis in my neck, but I get really bad migraines from it, and sometimes I just need to rest. I don't like to reschedule stuff, but if I'm not feeling at my best, or I know that I'm not going to feel the most connected, I might have to reschedule a reading or reschedule a show, but I really need to take care of my needs so I can be at my best to help other people. So that's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Self care.
Mhm.
I think we're taught um, at an early age that, don't cry, that didn't hurt, or you're fine, and, you know, be quiet, whatever.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, being able to get a massage or,
Yeah.
um, I just signed up for a massage, and it's like I usually don't get a massage unless I'm traveling,
Mm.
and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get a
I'm going to treat
massage.
myself though now. And
Yeah,
that's going to be so important for 2024, making sure that, like we said before, grounding and just that overall self care, because it can be a bit depleting, with everything kind of going on. And I think too, with how polarized the world is right now, and how divisive everything is. it's really important to let go of that judgment as well. Because at the end of the day, we're all one. We're all from source or God, whatever you want to call it. And and when you sit in that judgment, it's just depleting you and putting you in that lower place. So while you don't have to condone what others do or things that you don't agree with, just not allowing it to take over or really affect you energetically, I think is going to be so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, to not be overwhelmed by it and make it your story, to have
Hmm.
a boundary with it and say, "Okay, um, I," and, there's so much energy around the world right now, like, war energy, conflict
Yeah,
energy,
yeah,
and it's real easy to let that conflict energy into your heart or into your home, and
overwhelm you.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, so
And there's
what.
a difference, though, too, with the conflict energy. You can use that, or use the things that you disagree with as motivation to, like I said before, speak truth to power or to really stand up for what you believe in. Um, but yeah, sometimes just letting go of that judgment, I think, is so important, or not just allowing it to be all consuming. Like I said, use it as that motivation and sit in that motivated space, or that uplifted space with what you want to bring into the world.
Awareness. Yeah,
Awareness.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so staying in that awareness is not always easy with everything going on the
Mhm. No, it's not easy. It's not easy.
planet. But it's okay because we're here and we have an emotional body and we should
Mhm.
be able to feel our emotions, but be aware of them when they come in. Um, you always seem very calm, Kevin.
I get
So
told that. I don't always feel the most calm, but
you always seem really calm though. Is there something special in your life that you've done that, I mean, I know you have Reiki.
I think it's pretty I do the Reiki, and that helps me kind of ground and stay balanced.
Yeah.
For me, it's really just kind of just getting out of my comfort zone and not allowing it to kind of drag me down. Like I said, um, well, I don't think I said it today, but I've said it on my channel. I'm very introverted, so even when I was getting called by my guides to start a YouTube channel or really getting invested in the community, um, part of me it's not the most comfortable thing for me, even though it might seem like I'm pretty calm. Sometimes I'm just very anxious or jittery inside, but um, yeah, just like really working on just kind of letting that go because you're just getting in your own way by tapping into the fear,
Yeah. Yeah. I
or
I
the
get.
ego kind of takes over and you get that negative self-talk or like you're not worthy or just kind of getting out of that. It's not serving, it's a waste of energy.
So, I think that's another huge chakra that I know I'm working on, and I feel like a lot of us are, the throat chakra
Yeah.
and that self-talk and, um, not just self-talk, but also being clear about what we want.
Yeah, that can be difficult sometimes,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
myself included. I have a lot of throat chakra and solar plexus chakra work that I've been
Ditto.
working on.
Ditto. And I feel like, a lot of times we lose our voice, like, as
Mm.
a child and,
Yeah, you're kind of hushed from that expression, like kids are meant to be seen, not heard. Uh,
right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
see it all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have a bit of like an identity crisis or figuring out what your truth is or who you are, because part of that inner voice was taken from you at a young age, and you don't even necessarily realize it either.
Yeah. I think for me, that was a huge thing that came out of the pandemic was realizing that, I had lost my voice in so many instances and then seeing them and looking back at that and seeing,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, I can forgive myself for this happening because you didn't speak up because you didn't have your voice at that time."
Yeah.
So,
Well, your inner voice or your inner power too, in a lot of situations.
oh my god, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's so tied to that. It's, your inner voice
And
and your inner
sometimes even that inner power, you when you have issues with that, it's like I'm not worthy of having my own voice or expressing myself clearly. Having setting up those boundaries. It's a bit of a. It's definitely it takes a bit of work to really work on moving past that. Like I said, for myself, the Reiki really kind of helped me with a lot of that. But I think it's also important too when you do like your self healing or your journey for healing for yourself. Um, just realizing that it's always continued growth. It's never like 100%. It's something that you always have to be aware of, and I think though too, if you can just get to a place where things maybe that trigger you, you kind of realize that it's triggering you before it happens, and you can change how you react to it. I think that that's so important, and that's kind of where I am with a lot of things. Where things would really trigger me, especially people kind of like belittling me, or making me feel not worthy. Now I just kind of go in knowing that there's that little tick for it for me. But I'm not going to give that person the power and kind of react the way that they want me to, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like once you become aware of that circle of karma and that's a trigger,
Mhm.
and when you see it coming back again, you're like, oh, I remember you.
Yeah. And then I feel like too, when you actually do a bit of the work, you don't notice it as much too. It's like you kind of stop that karmic wheel when you've learned that big lesson that you're meant to learn.
Yeah. So, what do you feel the energy is of the karmic wheel is coming in the future? Like, not just 24, but like on past that.
Hmm.
Do you feel like we're gonna ascend to a space where we're um, no longer that we're aware enough that as a community,
Hmm.
as
It's
a
definitely going to take a while. I don't see it happening overnight.
yeah,
Um, it's all about kind of shifts um, but they're really, in some ways, it's a quick acceleration, I think, with things being brought to the surface. But I think overall, like the evolution, it's gonna take a while. Like this concept of like a new Earth kind of coming in. We're really in that right now, but I mean, that might take 20, 30 years before we rise into higher dimensions or densities.
yeah. So, how do you feel about part of the earth rising to that and part of it not?
Mm,
Like, I feel like there are times when we're all rising to that dimension when we're like maybe when we're dancing or when we're meditating or doing
mhm.
Reiki, and especially healing somebody with Reiki. When you're
Yeah,
healing somebody else, I think it's or teaching somebody something, it totally raises the vibration.
yeah.
Um, but do you feel like it's all or nothing, or do you feel like it's going to be half and half, or
Yeah, and that's kind of where it
it's
feels like
fun?
we're going. I think we're going to a place where it's equal, so you have, like, that equilibrium there, but then it's, like, that slow evolution of the light kind of outweighing the dark, but it's gonna be a while. I mean, it's gonna be a bit of a process. I think
Yeah,
you're gonna always still have a bit of the dark only because that's the heavy things are really what makes us learn and evolve. The only reason why we really come down to earth. It's not an easy place to live, but there's a lot of lessons that we learn, and with that comes that growth and evolution. So slowly we're kind of stepping away from some of the heaviness, but you're going to always have a little bit of that, I think, for a while anyway.
yeah, yeah. Well, doggone it. No, that's good. It's all good. I feel like we kind of create our own life, right?
Yeah.
And through our awareness and through living in our power and living in our joy.
Hmm.
I mean, we become so resilient, and I feel like there's so many of us around here that have been through a lot, and I
Hmm.
like to call them effing growth opportunities. So
Yeah.
we've had these FGOs, and it's
Yes.
kind of gotten us on our path so that when we see something coming at us, we're like, "Oh, honey, I've been there, done that," and that's
Right. It's
not a
easy.
big deal.
It's easy for you, right?
Yeah,
But that's where too, I think sometimes sometimes we just get consumed with everything, and sometimes it's just better just not to take life so seriously. It's gonna
yeah,
lighten it up and focus on the love and the joy and the things that bring you happiness. Um, and that kind of goes back to being in the moment, being present. So important.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh my god. So Janet and Diana are talking about Windex on bruises.
Mm,
It's a great thing. They're cracking me up. Sorry, guys. Um, yeah, I think it is fun. And so uh, I was talking to Nancy Jean about this, and we've kind of put together a list of things that,
Okay.
I mean, just ideas. But everybody here has a million ideas, I know, about what helps to bring you joy in your life and to
Mm.
kind of recognize.
You know, I was watching something and I don't remember who I heard it from. I don't think it was anybody in the community. I feel like it was a message sent for me from spirit, although I haven't necessarily used it yet. But I heard of I mean, I think we all know that sitting in that space of gratitude and love can really help with manifesting things in more quickly and more powerfully. But um, having a gratitude journal and just challenging yourself to write 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for every day, and then but making, like, it really important that you're not repeating the same things over and over again. Um, so then you kinda go throughout your day looking for the blessings, looking for all the good things that are uplifting, like somebody at Starbucks ahead of you buying you that cup of coffee, which isn't necessarily something huge, but it's something nice to be appreciative of. And that kind of I think that that would be a really good way to kind of sit in that space more often, because then you're looking forward to the blessings coming and the good things, you know?
Yeah, I feel like gratitude is one of those things that definitely lifts your vibration
Mhm.
exponentially. It's like you can think about something and then you'll think about it's just like smiling, right? A physical
Yeah.
smile or laughter, even when you don't want to laugh, it
Mm.
changes your brain. You get a signal and dopamine comes out, and then you're like, okay, it's different now.
Yeah.
I think I can make this work. Yeah. Oh, glimmers. Yeah. So finding moments in the day that's beautiful, and like you're walking down the street and you see the cloud and you're like, wow, that's amazing.
Mm. I think that that's overall where that awareness is so important too, because we can kinda go into the day thinking, "Today's gonna suck," or "What the hell's gonna happen today that's gonna," um, that realist kind of mentality. But if you kind of if you're aware of your energy, you can be mindful of, sitting in that positive energy and that positive perspection, and you'll just sitting in that and being mindful of it, you'd be amazed by how things shift for you if you just change your overall perception.
Yeah.
It's not overnight work. I mean, it takes some work. That's something that I'm still kind of working on. But yeah, it's really amazing. Like, the energy that we want to manifest and to bring in, it's our reality, it's our life. So we can absolutely do that. It's just being mindful of how we view the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And so using your senses, that's a
Mm.
big thing for me. When I'm going for a walk like listening to your dog bark.
Yeah, I had that going on a little bit earlier on my show.
Sorry about that, guys. Um, uh, but having a time where you can be quiet
Hmm.
and just using your senses always brings me into the present really
Yeah,
quickly.
and
Yeah.
sometimes I think, I get people that tell me, I can't quiet my mind enough to meditate. Although I think being in the quiet, meditating is so helpful. But I always tell people too, there's ways that do things that you love or things that, kind of get you out of your own head. For some people, they love working out. It kind of gets them to release everything and they're just really in the now. I love cooking, gardening, spending time outside, but just doing those things that you love and that really uplift you. Some people are very crafty, artistic, painting. For some, it's just kind of tapping into um, what it is that you want to create today, and just getting out of your own head.
Yeah. Yeah. So important. Um, so getting out of our own bodies too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say that because I teach meditation and
Mm,
we do I have a meditation group that meets in the mornings,
yeah.
but it's like meditation can be so many different things.
Mm,
like you said, it can be dancing, it can be gardening, it can be I love cooking. I think that's a huge creative
Me
process.
too.
I don't like it every night, but
I like the cooking part, but I don't like washing the dishes afterwards. I sure
thank
enjoy
you.
the eating part though too.
Yeah, yeah, ditto, ditto. Yeah, if I had somebody here that was doing more of the cleanup, that
Yeah,
might be a
right.
difference. That makes a huge difference. But, yeah, there's so many different ways to be meditative.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Um, so and I think that guided meditations help some people.
Yeah.
That's what we do, but I also teach, silent meditation,
Mm,
and it's like going on a diet. There's so many people that do not wanna learn silent
mm.
meditation. That's when I started doing more of the guided,
Well, sometimes you get a little bit uncomfortable with what kinda comes through or the thoughts that you have that maybe you're not even aware of, you know?
right? Yeah, totally, totally. And you know what else happens, Kevin, is, like, I know when I first got into silent meditation, I would get like an arm would jerk, my arm or my
Mm,
leg would twitch or something. And it was, all this energy that I was releasing from my body that had
yeah.
kind of just been sitting there.
Just kind of either awakens or releasing. You know, it's interesting too because I'm not one to really kind of sit down and just meditate on my own. I'm a
Yeah,
little ADD, so for me, I can maybe sit in quiet for 10, maybe 15 minutes on a good day, but then my mind starts to wander into other things. So it's hard for me, but um, I have noticed I do incorporate a bit of my own meditation in with the Reiki. I kind of incorporate the two because
yeah,
you're kind of in that quiet space and that reflective space. Or communicating with your guides in that space and you're in the elevated energy and it kind of kills two birds with one stone um, and I think even too I've been before when I would do my reiki for clients it's always been kind of in silence but I do find too sometimes in silence and then we both kind of share what we experience during the session and then kind of comparing the two is always kind of fun. But I do notice too, sometimes if I do a bit of like a guided meditation for the Reiki and kind of just being in the present of what information's coming through, I almost feel like that might be helpful too because um, it's bringing up things to maybe focus on in the now as we're kind of healing.
yeah, totally.
Maybe a message or a symbol that's kind of coming through really strongly, something that they need to hear right now. I always kind of leave it up to the client. If they like the quiet time where they can just kind of do a bit of that self-reflection and it's not as distracting. I think that's great. But I think sometimes it's really powerful to kind of be in the moment and in the space together on the healing too. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do feel like, there's many times, when I'm doing silent meditation that um, I grab my journal and I'm like, "Oh my
Mhm.
god, this is awesome. I gotta write this
Yeah,
down." And so I feel like journaling can be a part of it too.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I feel like spirit brings in so many messages and it's exciting. It's like a
Mhm.
party.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to receive the messages when we're not in the present and we have kind of all the living in the past or past mistakes or all the things that we have to do in the future. You have all this noise in your head. So sometimes it's hard to really just kind of get that guidance in that space. But if you can kind of just take that deep breath in and kind of let it out and just bringing that attention to the here and now, um, yeah, you get a lot of clarity and a lot of direction, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do. You really do. Um, I know there are times when, I find myself on YouTube too much. Surprise,
Mhm.
surprise.
Yeah.
I like watching my friends and I like being on it
Yeah.
and talking to my friends on it yeah, so giving myself a day off from that and, uh, day off from other things. Um, I did a retreat, I've done a few of them, the silent retreats where you're silent, and it's like the Disneyland Western version. It's not like the 10-day
Okay.
one we do in the East. It's like, it's like, where you go and you're silent, but you have yoga twice a day and speakers that come and talk to you and stuff like that.
So there's still like you're still. It's not like it's just total quiet for 2-3 days. I don't know how. I
Right.
don't think I would do well with that.
Yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah. And I surprised myself how much I loved it. And because um, it was instead of having your phone on or your computer on or your TV on, you had your senses on.
Yeah,
And when you can't speak, you really have to use your other
to
senses.
listen, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen and feel and see things. And yeah, that was so much fun. But
Love
again,
that.
that wasn't the heavy duty one. Yeah.
Mm. Have you done a heavy duty one?
No, I don't wanna do a heavy duty
Yeah, I
one.
don't think I would want to do one either.
I don't. I know it, right? The 10-day one. I had a friend that did it, and, she said you just had to walk around in a room in a circle, and it was inside a temple, so it was beautiful, but it was
Mm,
still just not, no, I
I'm
want
too
one.
ADD for that. I would go crazy 10 minutes in.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, no, I need people to help me with stuff and,
Right.
yeah, have a massage maybe.
There you go.
That's all good. Um, so, is spirit telling you anything that we can do this year? Like, I know we've talked about everybody in movement and being in the now and being present, but like things to make our families safe. Um, like, I feel like that's a big thing for me a lot of times. That I know for me, it's good, right? But then when we think about our animals or our
Mm,
family or our loved ones, making sure that they're safe.
yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like being able to recognize everybody as a divine being and that they can handle this, you know?
Sometimes it's a bit hard because, well, I have my dogs, obviously, so I don't have kids, but um, I would say even for clients sometimes, um, you have it a bit where, your loved ones, you kind of want what's best for them, but you kind
Yeah.
of have to not be in that controlling kind of way of like, okay, you need to do this. No, we're all here to
Yeah.
kind of learn different lessons and experience things, and you kind of can't take away somebody's free will to make their own decisions. But I think you can be there to kind of give them a gentle nudge, or sometimes with, like I said, with clients, um, you know, there's a fracture in a relationship, and so sometimes it's just like just being patient and sending that positive and intention that they get it and they get that wake up call that they need to, so that they can kind of come back and then start working on repairing that. So I think it's just sitting in the love and sending that positive intention for people. And sometimes it's like I said, it's hard because we feel like we know what's best for somebody, but sometimes that interferes with their learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of letting go a little bit.
Yeah. That's, yeah, well said. That's not always easy, but it's
No, it's not.
being patient.
Yeah.
So when you're sending that love, like, does that mix with Reiki? Do you see a color with that?
Oh. Um, Well, I think it's very individualized too, because we all kind of experience things in different ways or receive information, or the senses are stronger in different areas. But yeah, I would say it's kind of like that same wavelength that you get on when you channel Reiki. To me, it feels very angelic, and you just get a sense of love, unconditional love and joy. Um, it's very soft and subtle, but it's very strong at the same time too. It's very overwhelming. Um, For me, I see, like, light pink for it, like a rose quartz kind of, or, like, even, like, a little bit more translucent is what I kinda feel with the loving energy.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes maybe a little bit of purple in with it too.
that's exactly what we've been seeing in meditations, Kevin. I love that.
Mm, okay.
We've been seeing an angelic mist coming in, and
Mm,
it's pink. It's the
I
rose
like that.
quartz color. Yeah, but there's that blue light coming in too, so sometimes it's a little bit purple, but
Mm,
around the edges. But yeah, it kinda, it's like a mist, I feel like, coming in.
Yeah.
to kind of soften things. And I definitely use that when I see somebody in pain or in
Yeah.
sorrow, sending that out. So,
Like I said, it's kind of a bit of like going with the flow and seeing what kind of comes into. I do get a lot of colors or a lot of angels or archangels that come in a Reiki session. Um, Sometimes I'll be in a space in the body, and you know, sometimes it's like a yellow or a golden color, and for me, that's kind of like that wisdom and strength, or that blue is like that truth and expression. Um, so it's kind of like just trusting in the Reiki energy, kind of knowing because it's got its own higher consciousness, what's kind of needed, what color, what vibration is needed in that area, and then just kind of allowing that to kind of come through.
yeah,
And
awesome.
then it's always interesting too. Like I said, talking to the client afterwards of, maybe we saw different, same colors, or maybe they got a message in one way and I got it in something else, but it all kind of validates each other between both of our perspectives.
Hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, everybody's saying how beautiful.
I don't think we're getting to any mini readings today. We've been on almost.
I don't think so,
I
you
really
guys.
enjoyed the conversation and kind of just the flow of everything.
Yeah, yeah, so did I. It was really nice. Really nice.
Mm,
Thanks for being here.
yeah.
Um, um, so, do you have anything else you wanna say? Like,
Do you want to pull
or
a card for the collective of any
oh, yeah, I love
any
that.
guidance or wisdom that us as a collective needs to know for 2024? Oops, I had one fly out. I love this deck. Oh, Take Flight, beautiful dove.
Oh, wow, and that's that pink light too.
Yeah, the pink.
Yeah, that's
Um, the
beautiful.
postcard for us all is, Dear You, there is always more than one side to an argument, two sides, if not more, to every story, and hundreds of ways to be right, be different, be at odds, and so on. Today, we suggest that instead of looking for differences, you find a meeting place of agreement and approach this experience with understanding and compassion. Seek common ground to understand how another person thinks or how an alternative plan might be laid out. Stay out of judgment, too. Observe, discern, but accept that others have different stories, experiences, and journeys, and some people might refuse to remain open to another's point of view. No matter what, you've been presented with a great opportunity to explore a new way of doing things once common ground is reached. You are attracting people and situations that enrich your life and bring you wonderful things to learn. We love you so much. I love that message, especially when we kind of talked about it earlier, where things are kind of so divided or so polarized. Really working on letting go of that judgment, working on trying to find common ground and kind of bringing the collective back together. It's not easy to do. Um, and for me, 2024 kind of feels like maybe both sides being a bit explosive, but then how do we come together at the end of the day? How
Yeah,
are we going to meet together and find common ground? I think that that's an important message to kind of keep in the back of your mind through 2024.
I love that. Social discourse, right?
Hmm.
We kinda lost that during, 2015, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, this was my pop out, joy.
Oh,
So, exactly what we've been talking about. So, using your energy, and Lord Ganesh is here, moving all around, but, with energy, and of course, he's wearing pink too.
mm,
So, finding your joy, finding your love, dancing, flying your freak flag because that's always important. Um, um, but also noticing that he's carrying a little bucket and his little mouse down here also has the bucket. So,
mm,
what are you carrying in your bucket? Or your urn, whatever you have. Are you carrying the things that belong to you, or are you carrying everybody else's
mm,
things? Like,
yeah.
are you taking everybody else's troubles all over the world and your families and carrying that bucket because it's going to be too hard to
It's gonna
move
be a
on?
heavy bucket to hold.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Terry. It's always so much fun, and I'm streaming on my channel too. So I would just say, um, anybody that's into meditations or wonderful collaborations, please go over to Terry's channel, Holding Your Space. Terry at Holding Your Space, and go subscribe. She's a beautiful light being, and it's always so much fun to be with you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I love having you on too.
Oh,
My birthday brother. So,
yes.
all right. Well, thanks for being here. And thank you, everybody, for being here. So,
Oh,
have a great night. We'll
bye,
see you
everyone.
later.